Welcome to the Satori Lifestyle Satori Masters podcast, the ultimate resource for ambitious, hardworking school owners that want to get their business and their life to the next level. My name is Dave Kovar. I'm a lifetime martial artist, business owner, speaker, and author. My goal is to empower listeners with the knowledge and the tools they need to break through barriers and really get their business and their life to the next level. Thanks for watching and enjoy. Welcome to the Satori Lifestyle Satori Masters podcast. I'm your host, Dave Kovar, and with me today is my good friend, John Hackleman, the Pit Master. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic.
All right, good deal, man. Well, nice to have you, on the show. And I know we've done this before, but yeah, those of you, I think in the martial arts world, you need no introduction. But in case someone's tuning in that maybe is not as in tune to martial arts, you're a lifetime martial artist. You started as a kid. Your goal was to not let anybody take your lunch money from you. And I know it started out, you trained hard, and you had at one point the school bully tried to get your lunch money, and you in the cafeteria kind of took care of him, and you were never bullied again. Does that sum that story up pretty well?
That part of the story is accurate. Yes.
Okay, very cool. In the Army, you boxed on the team, and you went on to fight both in both boxing and kickboxing professionally. Correct?
Correct.
Very cool. And of course, probably went on to establish the Pit. How long's the Pit been around now?
40 years.
That's so amazing. That's so crazy. Like incredible. Yeah. And along the way had some superstar students, probably the most well-known would be, of course, Chuck Liddell would be probably top of the list, but you had a bunch of other stars as well in your camp.
Yeah. There's
Glover, the list goes on and on.
Scott Lighty, Ramsey Nijam, Court McGee. We had the Von Flew choke guy, Von Flew. Jason Von Flew, who now they have the Von Flew choke. Tim Kennedy. So there's a few.
Yeah, very cool, man. Well, so you and I talk pretty frequently about stuff, and one of the things that we discuss often is I'm a few months older than you. We were both born in '59. How few of people from our generation are still training, and you and I are still trying to keep it up. And I thought maybe what we could do is kind of share with our audience just kind of strategies for aging gracefully, if that's the right term, and still being able to continue to keep your fitness and your martial arts up.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like a great topic.
So you were influential in the start of CrossFit. Is that does my memory serve me correctly in there?
No.
Okay.
I was influenced by CrossFit.
Okay.
I'm calling it CrossFit because I came up with CrossFit. Actually, the owner of CrossFit came up with the name CrossFit because I liked what he was doing. I saw it on the internet. So I got in touch with the CrossFit owner, and we saw eye to eye on a lot of things. And he wasn't that far away. He was in Santa Cruz. And so I went up there and I trained, and I came up, I loved the way they did their workout of the day, and things were all about reps and time. Everything it took the fitness part to a whole different level. And I loved it, but it was a little too long for me. Like the workouts were a little too long, and they were too strenuous because we were already doing so much as martial artists between the sparring, the drilling, the bag work, the mitt work, etc. So that's all they did. CrossFit is
Right.
CrossFit.
Right.
So that was my one thing. And we went back and forth on it. So I came up with some workouts that were specific for martial artists, but they had a CrossFit feel to it. So he said, Greg Glassman, the owner of CrossFit, the founder,
Right.
he said, let's call it CrossFit. And so we did, and we started working together, and he sent some of his people to the Pit. I sent some of my people there. Glover, I sent to a couple CrossFit events and stuff. And I'm there, still around. Greg Glassman, I don't think he's in it anymore. But so that's where I got that. And that's a big part of our not only training on a daily basis, but it's a big part of our belt testing. Our belt testing isn't just on techniques, it also has to do with your conditioning, which also has to improve while you're going along, not just getting better at specific punches, kicks, etc. There also has to be a rise in your physical conditioning.
So tell me, thanks for that background there. Now that clarifies stuff. I knew you and Greg Glassman had some interaction, so that's helpful to me. Tell me, because no one has more experience in this area than you do when it comes to training fighters and personally being holding yourself to a high standard. What is the importance of fitness with defense? I think I get it, right? I think there's the quote from Vince Lombardi, poor endurance makes cowards of us all. When I remember one time I had a bunch of matches in a day, and the last one I was so tired I didn't care. I lost just because I kind of gave up. And had I been in better condition, I would have battled harder. But give me, why is just, I mean, having good technique is important. Why is having gas in your tank and strength in your strikes important for self-defense?
It goes in like it goes in shadow box when in conditioning. I think it goes when in shadow boxing or hitting the air, that gets tiring. Just that gets tiring. And then now you take that to the next level, now hit the bag with any kind of power and speed, and that gets even more tiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now start drilling with somebody, another person, going back and forth. Now that takes it to a whole different level of exhaustion. Now go sparring, like free sparring, right? And then you get exhausted a lot quicker, you know? So I think of that, and then that's still down here. You're still sparring with usually your friend, and you're not really trying to hurt each other. Now take that next level to a fight, a sport fight, like
Mm-hmm.
UFC, MMA, kickboxing, boxing, um, where somebody's actually trying to hurt you. They're trying to hurt you to win. So they're not your buddy. There's there's a crowd of people that you don't want to let down because a lot of them are your people. So there's so much tension, right? So much pressure on you. Now that raises the adrenaline level so much higher. I mean, it happens almost instantly. Like walking to the cage or the ring. You step in the ring, a lot of times you're gassed already, right?
Wow.
So
Yep.
the exhaustion just goes, it just goes up and up and up. Now take all that away and just go to the street where somebody is actually trying to kill you, and you're trying to defend yourself and sometimes your family. So the adrenaline added to that makes it so you're conditioning that you can go a 10-round fight, a boxing match, 30 minutes. You could do that. But now, like 30 seconds into this street attack, and you are, I mean, your adrenaline is just, it's going crazy. And if you don't have an anaerobic metabolism that can suit that, you're dead. You're literally you're dead. So to get that anaerobic pathway, right? We got the Krebs cycle, and we got we got anaerobic versus aerobic. There's a lot of little nuanced things. Your anaerobic system so hard in training, it's definitely the gas will empty very quickly when you're being attacked. And there's once you're no matter how strong you are, how tough you are, how skilled you are, just like the Ferrari, right? The nicest car in the world. Once the gas is empty, it's useless. And so are you. Not you personally, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
That's why. And that's why training is so important physically, because you could do whatever all the time, but if you don't push it to that anaerobic threshold, then you won't have it. You don't have it. It has to be pushed.
I got to tell you, I thought of you this morning. I was at the gym, and one of my workouts is this medicine ball workout, and I have 8 different throws that I do. Okay. And I don't time myself, but it's for time, if you know what I'm saying. Like I'm trying to,
Yeah.
it's the old stop when you have to, start when you can mentality. And
Yeah.
it's my least favorite workout. It sucks. But in my gut, I know it's so good, right? It's such functional movement. But I'm about halfway through it. And the thought I had 2 thoughts of you. I remember going when I was one time I was at the pit. You had like 120 pound like medicine ball. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't even pick it up. I'm thinking, what are you doing this for? But it was like something that I had this vision of you talking about because you've never invited me to your the original pit, by the way. Yes, you have. I've just never been there. And about going uphill with the wheelbarrow and being super fatigued and that I had this little moment like I was thinking maybe I should stop here and take a break, but I thought of you kind of anyway, and I pushed through and anyway, thank you for helping me get through the workout this morning. But
Yeah.
I'm reminded what I try to do when I'm done with that workout, because it's only takes me maybe 12, 13 minutes to do this, right? And that doesn't include the warm up or warm down. That's actually, but it's the friggin' hardest 13 minutes ever. But when I'm done, I always try to anchor it in. How do you feel? That heart rate is going 100 miles an hour. You know, you barely walk. And at that moment, I just think, how do you feel right now? Aren't you glad you did it? Because that helps me anchor in the feeling so I'm more likely to do is within much intensity the next time.
But also, don't you just feel that much better after too? You
Oh,
just feel like
100%. So
it's
glad you
like
did it. Yeah.
it's when you do those kind of workouts, like I ran a couple of marathons and I felt terrible obviously after the marathon. But just that kind of training, that long, slow, progress, you just feel burnt out and you don't feel strong and vital and dynamic. You feel like exhausted. But when you do an anaerobic, heavy anaerobic type workout, there's always aerobic, but when you push your anaerobic system, it's a more painful workout. But the next day, you just feel great. And
So
and us old guys, man, we like to feel great because it's far. There's so few and far between.
it's kind of like I look at it like right now I'm training.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. I look at it training now is I want to talk about as we age how we need to modify. And for me, the most important thing for my training is I want to feel good when I wake up in the morning, right? I mean, I want to feel good. But the other thing is that yes, I want to be prepared for battle if I need it. But the other thing is if I go to your gym and you ask me to go out on the floor and either spar or do a fitness thing, I don't want to embarrass myself. I want to be at least in good a shape to where I can get through the workout. I go to someone jujitsu school and they say, "Hey, you want to do a few rounds?" I want to feel good enough to be able I can do that. So I'm not training for a fight, I'm training for life. And so I've modified a little bit. And some of the things, and I know we've talked about this before, some of my rules is that I have to make sure my heart rate is up. I need a nice warm up before I start being too intense. That's rule number one for me. And number two is I try to be super consistent. And I have try to leave with some gas in the tank because it seems like if I call it the 80% rule, meaning I don't go until I can't do anything else. I go and I think, oh, I could probably do another round, but I'm not gonna because that seems to be in my experience as I've aged the round that I hurt myself. So like just enough. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree partly, but the part that I don't agree on is with that one last whatever that you get hurt. I think that's more if you're doing like heavy lifts,
Okay.
and trying to, next thing you know, you're going one way, they're going the other, but your arm's going with them, and um, I see that. But some of the things that I do now, I want to push it till I can't even do one more step.
Okay.
And like so I feel like it's pushing, pushing, pushing. Like for instance, I'll get the simplest one I can think of. I feel like if I'm not pushing to the very end, I don't feel as good about. I don't feel as good the next morning.
So you cut out for a minute. So what was the exercise pushing the last one of what?
Like an easy one is burpees.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Yep. I can.
Do you hear me? Let
We're
me.
cutting out every now and then with it. Yeah, I can now. We cut you out every now and then. But okay, so I don't. Totally agree. I guess I my and you kind of cleared up. It has to do more with hard training or high athletic movements where there's a like that last round of you're totally beats, your legs are numb, and you do one more round of kickboxing. That's when you're more likely to get in. So what you're saying is, as far as fitness goes, you like to push pretty hard at that last rep, as long as you're not doing super heavy weights or something
Or
too
sparring
athletic. Yeah,
or any kind of sparring where you're not on the same page as the guy, like
got it.
drilling back and forth. Like if you're going this way and they're going that way and you're exhausted, then you don't recoil your arm as quickly, you leave it out hanging. That's when I feel like that's when you're going to get hurt. Or you do that last rep you can't even do, then your muscles don't support it as well, and next thing you know you rip your tendons, right?
Yeah,
But I feel like things like burpees, 8 counts, 4 punches and a sprawl, things that get my heart rate up like crazy. Even the wheelbarrow, if I'm not doing too heavy wheelbarrow, I'm just doing it for anaerobic sprints. Um, I feel like I can push it as hard as I can because I'm not good with math like you are. And I don't even know the 80-20. I can't figure out 80. To me, it has to be all, you know what I mean? Or not, all or nothing in those workouts. Then my other workouts, like, my jog workouts or my medium workouts, then I'm just going at a nice pace where I can talk the whole time, but it's still getting my heart rate up a little bit. And I'm doing some lighter bag work, some drilling, a little more with a wheelbarrow, but not as much, stuff like that. Those days are like a 30-minute workout, like a jog,
right,
like a
right.
5K jog, as opposed to all out sprints. So I do both throughout the week, and it's usually my 80-20 comes in there. 80% of my workouts are like between 65 and 75% of my max heart rate. And then I try to do 20% of my workouts are going to be up to about 85 to 100% of my max heart rate.
And you said you're not good at math. You just threw some pretty complicated figures out there just now. Well, I got to share. My daughter is just graduated from. She's a physical therapist, right? She just got her.
Yeah.
She's a DPT, a doctor of physical therapy, as a couple months ago, and yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, it does have a reason. I had to, of course, drop that in because you're proud, right? But as a purpose, why I bring this up, she was talking about last semester. One of her professors is this guy. By our standards, he's still young. He's like in his early 40s. He was like a power lifter, then a CrossFitter. He's already had his hip replaced, his shoulders all messed up. And he's talking about to these guys about the right amount of exercise. And he's telling everybody to be concerned, don't overtrain because this is what happened to me, et cetera, et cetera. And then someone said, well, should I work out at all? And the answer was, oh, yeah, you got to work out because if you undertrain, this is going to happen. And so someone raised their hand. And I think this is such a profound answer. Is someone said, well, how much should I work out? And his comment was just enough. Right. And how I take that, and I think it's, you got to know your body. Like you've been exercising your whole life, and so have I. So I kind of know when my back is saying, you better not do another set of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Or when it's when my voice is saying you're tired, that I got to ignore that. And so my question for you is, all right, I'm a middle-aged guy. I'm starting in martial arts training. Give me some guidelines when it comes to fitness. Where should I start? What should I do? What should I avoid? What would you tell me?
Huh. I think I would first of all, you see what kind of shape they are and what kind of physical issues they have, if any. And if not, then I would go along with the um the 80%, which is the heart rate, or they call it zone 2 workouts, right? So
Right?
it's like a jog. I would say just do that for at least the first 3 months. And then after 3 months of doing that consistently, you can take off to the next level and just start pushing your 80 to 100% workouts, 20% of the time, and your zone 2 workouts 80% of the time, right? So 20% of the time, 20% of the time you're going 80 to 100%, and then 80% of the time you're going 60 to 70% of your heart rate. It's heart rate for me because because every Airdyne bike has a different RPM. Like
Hmm.
they're
Sure.
different.
Sure.
So sometimes you say, well, you got to go 55 RPMs for X amount of time, but every one has a different. So I go
Yeah.
by the heart rate because to me it's the most telling. It's the hardest one to really measure because so many of these measurement contraptions, they're not as they have hiccups in them a lot of the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But I still I go by that, and that's how right now that's how I measure my training for my fighters. Now this is not very um it's not very scientific, but my fighters, and I've always done this. I'll tell you a story about Laborio in a sec. But my fighters, I get them I just watch them. I could watch the room, and I could like, Chuck's overtraining. All right, Chuck, take off. Go. You're done today. And he was like, Okay. And or some of my guys aren't quite pushing enough. I can tell. And that's more the majority is people don't overtrained, they're undertraining.
Interesting.
Most people. So then I'd be like, push it up. Then I yell at them and cuss at them and stuff like that. But guys like Glover and Chuck and Core McGee and some of my really serious, really I'd have to pull them back all the time. In fact, uh one of Glover's big fights, we sent him over to train with Laborio at American Top Team and in Florida. And I got a call from Lebo, and he was like, "Man, I don't know what's up with Glover, man. He's like trains himself, which Glover is a training fanatic. I mean, he could do overhead squats, he could do muscle ups, he's in freakish shape like Court McGee. But anyway, so he said, we can't control him. He won't listen to anybody. He always says, this is what John told me to do, so I'm going to do it. And so he said, I need your help. So I fly out to American Top Team, and I just started bringing him, pulling him in a little bit, and then letting this go out a little bit, but this go in a little bit, because fighters like that need to be pulled in.
Yeah. That's a sign of a like good coach. And just
So
for whatever, Ricardo
yeah, it is.
Laborio, what a great guy, man. What an amazing guy he is, huh?
Yeah,
Lebo's the man.
Lebo's, yeah. But so you, or when I say you, like you guys are watching, you have to you have to go by something. It's going to end up how you feel. Like some days you wake up and go, I don't really feel. I just don't feel like I should train today. And 99% of the people, that's just their norm because they're fucking lazy. So don't go by that,
Yep.
unless for a fact you're like we are, or like some of the other high level guys. Then abide by it. But I say put a plan out there, like X amount of days. You're going to do 100% of your, 100% of your heart rate max, or however you want to measure it. So you could use a perceived level of exertion. Like I'm going to go to 85%
Right.
of my max.
Hmm.
And then the other 80% of the time, or 3 days a week or whatever, go 20% of your max, right? And when you feel it's your max, and have that as your workout, but always attach a number to it, and a time to it, because that's what gives it the reality. Because if you don't have a number attached to it, then you're just kind of, on a day off, that would be great, right? You just kind of day
Yep.
off, but you want to do something, just do something. Don't even measure it. But on the other days, measure what you're doing, right? By numbers, by time, by weight, by sets, something like that, and stick to that. So write it out the night before or the day before, or whatever, and stick to that. And that's one of your best ways to reach the goal. Because if you don't, and you always go by how you feel, then it's just going to be like your workouts aren't going to be consistent or congruent or is effective.
Love it, man. Such great advice. I want to be respectful of your time, so I want to wind this down, but I would remind everybody that what I think is just crucial for wherever you are in your journey, but especially if we're talking about somebody that's middle-aged and let themselves go a little bit, that's trying to get back into it, is you can't friggin' compare yourself to where you were when you were 18. That's a recipe for disaster, right? You got to kind of take into consideration your age, and then consistency is everything, man. You know, it's like how can I just get in the friggin' habit of exercising? For me, I know we've talked about this. I think you're like a 6-day a week guy and you take a rest day, 5-day a week. But you do active stuff on your 2 days off, right? Or you do nothing.
If we can get our granddaughter, we usually get our granddaughter on Friday, so that becomes a walk. And sometimes I'll put a vest on when we walk, just to add a little bit of workout to it. But it's usually just a rest or an active rest day. And usually Monday's my other day. I usually don't do, the only thing physical I do is walk, walk somewhere.
Okay. I know for me, I try to get something in every day, 7 days a week, and I vary it. And sometimes it's really light. Like for a couple of days ago, it was a 2-mile walk, which is hardly, it's like, but it's enough to where I can check the box off. But otherwise, if I'm limiting my days, unless I guess you're really clear, you have your days on and off, it's too easy to say, oh, I'll work out tomorrow. So my mindset is I work out every day unless I have a good reason not to. And but for whoever's listening, the key thing is know your rules, have some rules, and then friggin' stick to them, and if we can, that's because people know what they need to do. They just don't do it. So start easy, start shorter, but be as consistent as possible. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Just have it written out, and then have a goal here. I want to do, whatever your thing is, and then be consistent. And that consistency comes exclusively from discipline. We know that.
Yep. 100%. Yep. All right, my friend. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Always a pleasure. And we will talk soon. So by the way, if anybody want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Pit.tv.
Yeah, guys, you got to, if you're not Pit.tv, also you're on Instagram, always putting out some really good content on Facebook. And so anyway, keep up the good work, sir.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Take care, man. Thank you for tuning in today to our podcast. I hope you found it valuable and inspirational. To stay connected, please subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you go for your podcasts. If you enjoyed today's show, please give us a 5-star review. And we really sincerely would appreciate some feedback. Your feedback helps us to create high-quality content that will help others in the future. If you'd like to follow me, you can go to Dave Kovar on Facebook or Haunchie Dave Kovar on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on next episode.